My name's Chuck Creekmur. I'm from AllHipHop.com. I'm the CEO and owner of the company. It's good to see you. I met you years ago at the DNC, the first DNC with Obama. So good
Oh,
to see you again. Yeah.
yes.
So tell us a little bit about this season of Jack Ryan, the final season, and what can we expect?
Well, for my character, James Greer, all of these years while I've been doing the show, I had a consultant that I worked with, African American,
Hmm.
retired. And the one thing he always would remind me was how difficult the work was on your family and holding your family together and the stresses of that. And I shared that with the producers, and they were really kind enough to roll that into my final season, the final part of James Greer's uh, journey. And you see that I am trying to salvage and redeem myself as a father.
Okay.
And love that. I love that the most this season, that I'm doing my work, but at the same time trying to salvage my family.
Gotcha. And is there any how is it has have you guys formed a family unit on the set are you guys sad?
Yeah, yeah, it's sad, it's bittersweet that things are coming to an end, but at the same time, we've had a blast, man. And, our friendships will go beyond um, the filming of it. I realize now that we finished almost a year ago, and, I keep forgetting that because we've been hanging so much, since we finished filming.
Right.
Um, it's evident that we are going to still have close relationships as friends. Um, but we will have the lasting memory of traveling the world, and I mean literally the world, tens of
Well,
10 to 20 countries all over it. We just had a blast, man.
nice, nice. So I have to ask you, I know enough about you to ask this question. Playing a CIA agent,
Okay.
and you're philanthropic and political leanings. Do you ever feel any sort of way about that? Is there any maybe personal conflict with the professional?
Uh, no, that was actually the great thing about doing this role, and I've tried to put it into the role.
Mm.
My consultant, uh, as I said, is an African American uh, retired officer, and I challenged him the first thing. I said, "How can you be a CIA officer,
Right.
knowing what this agency has done in our community?"
Yeah.
Right? And he said, and I was thinking of Malcolm X. I specifically said, "What about Malcolm X?" And he said, Wendell, we would fight racism, right? I said, yeah. We'll do anything possible to try to stop it. He said, yeah. He said, I feel the same way. And I just chose to try to do it inside the CIA
Mhm.
instead of the CIA. He said, now, you call yourself an American, right? And I said, yes. He said, well, um, how can you call yourself an American knowing what this country's done to our community?
Mhm.
He said, it's because you can have an impact still, that we can still make it a more perfect union. The fact that we haven't given up on it is because we know we can impact and affect change. And that's why, I felt as though I could do it inside the CIA than outside the CIA. And that's how I think James Greer is. I tried to put that in the role when I talk about having to make choices, find my moral compass. There's a gray area that we deal with. I teach that to Jack. That's the difficult place to be. And so you have to find a way to uh, to be more exact about who you are and what your values are in this work. Don't live in that gray area. And
Yeah.
so that's how I reconcile it. It's not an either or, and we shouldn't play in that gray area.
Yeah.
Be decisive. I say to people, I'm not asking, we should never lose the right to be offended. That's what I always tell people who may be critical of the choices that I make. It's good. I'm glad. Now, why? I just
Right.
want to hear why, and I want to see what are you going to do, right? So that's how you affect change. And so the answer my consultant gave to me really clarified playing the role. And then I went to the CIA. And the most surprising thing, Chuck, the most surprising thing of this 5-year journey is when I walked in the building, it looked like the country.
Wow. Okay.
It looked like the country, and I was surprised. I was surprised. I was pleasantly surprised, and what he said just became even more clear to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's how I do it, bro.
Okay. Great answer. Do you, I couldn't, I'm a fan of The Wire. You've done so many roles. You've done so many, plays. I mean, everything. True Thespian. What is it about Bunk that we love so much?
Bunk is an everyman. He's the uncle at the cookout, right? He's your father when he gets in your butt, tells you what you need to do.
Yeah.
If you don't have a father, he's that cat on the playground, the cat on the basketball court, who's kind of running all the games on Saturday, but say, hey, man, that was wrong. You know that was a foul.
Right.
Right? He's that guy that appeals to our heart and our comfort, but appeals to our mind as well, because he's a straight shooter. And we know so many men like that in the community. That's why he's been having a lasting impact.
Yeah.
So I'm so thankful that he got that recognition, because those are the men that we seldom give a platform to, because they don't need it, right? They just want to make sure you do right? And I'm sure, Chuck, you can look at the men in your life that bring you to the ownership of your own company, gave you vision, gave you focus, who gives you reminders of how to move forward. That's why we like Bunk.
Yeah.
Because at the same time, we know he's flawed, right?
Yeah,
we know he's flawed and he's not perfect. And but Bunk is the sort of guy who wakes up every day and says, you know something? It's another day to try to get it right.
Yeah. On the flip side, do you have any thoughts about Clarence Thomas? You played him as well. And he's a bit of a scoundrel to Black folks nowadays.
Yeah, I literally, when preparing for Clarence Thomas, we were living parallel lives, really. Black from the South, grandparents were farmers, poor, understood the value of education, the premium value of education. Your first wealth in life is education. Before you get any sort of monetary wealth, the first wealth is education. Catholic, Black Catholic from the South, all the similarities. Went to school, actually, very active in college. Clarence Thomas wanted to be a Black Panther.
What?
Marshall.
I didn't know that.
Had his beret. And it's actually very interesting that affirmative action is the linchpin. Because I benefited from affirmative action. He had no problem with it until he returns home to Savannah, Georgia, and he wants to join one of the established law firms there. And here he is with his Yale degree, from the community, smart as can be, and they wouldn't accept him. He could not get hired at a law firm in Savannah, Georgia. And it shows you the insidious nature of racism. The most racist, discriminatory practice of a Black man with a Yale law degree not being able to get a job. That wouldn't get him a job. He was denied his job. And the insidious trauma of that in Clarence Thomas' head turns it into, well, it's not because they don't like my Black ass. It's because they don't think my degree is valuable because I got it with affirmative action. And it's literally, that's the nexus in his life where you see us part.
Right.
Where he didn't see that the slightest attempt affirmative action is at rectifying centuries of disparity, brutal, violent prohibition of denying us the right to education. You would be killed if they caught you reading in your slave shack, right? And you don't understand the connection with that when we are only 2 generations from slavery. My mother's grandfather was a slave.
Right.
I damn near met him, you know? And so for him to think that way, I realized that the abhorrent way that he thinks, that has turned to some sort of self-hatred, really, shows you the depth of the trauma of racist practices.
Yeah.
That they destroyed, racism destroyed Clarence Thomas back then. Yeah. And the only person that could get him a job was this senator from Kansas. $11,000 a year. He drove out there and he started. The one thing about conservatives, while we differ in opinion, I wish we had this in our playbook: loyalty.
Yeah.
Clarence came on board and they were just like, if a Black conservative is told, you're going to make it. Yeah. We're going to put here and here and here, you're on track, then you're definitely going to make it. Yeah. Right? They live up to it. If you just stick to our principles, not even principles, our playbook, really. Yeah. You tell the same lies, the same talking point. Now, here's the interesting thing. For that, I don't hate Clarence Thomas. You know why I hate Clarence Thomas? Wow. Clarence, part of a cabal of men who were paid lobbyists by the apartheid South African government. Black men in America who were being paid by the apartheid government to lobby Congress in their behalf to make sure that they didn't divest, that they wouldn't come against apartheid. He was a part of that group. For that, it's inexcusable, and I hate him. His sickness of just being sort of self-hating and destroying affirmative action, that's a trauma that happened a long time ago. But when you are actually fighting to ensure that Black people are killed and enslaved the way they were in apartheid South Africa, and you took that blood money with no problem, for that, it's useful. There's a special place in hell for you.
Oh man, I actually didn't even know that part. That's wild. I didn't know. You know, obviously we've known about him for a long time, but I did not know that South African part. It's funny because hip hop used to fight against, apartheid, and now it's so. I guess what I'm asking is, do you have any pearls of wisdom for people? Because it can become very discouraging for folks in entertainment and in the world. In entertainment, I think we try to do what we can, and
well, listen, in entertainment, we have a great power. We have the greatest power in the world. We have the platform and the attention of the world. That's the role of art. That's why I don't even call it entertainment. Right. Entertainment is a byproduct of what we do. We are artists, and what artists do is we are to the world what thoughts are to the individual, the place where you reflect on who you are, decide what your values are, and then go and act out on. Right? That's what we do as artists, to try to have an impact on people's hearts and minds and make them collectively come to a value system that we all agree on and go out and act on those values, fight for those values. We can move people, even people we disagree with. Ronald Reagan was an actor who moved people of a conservative generation, right? Like Walesa in Poland, with a poet, moved people in solidarity movement in Poland so that they can have their democracy, right? Right. Martin Luther King and all the artists of that time. Martin Luther King was a poet. He's a writer.
Yes.
He was a great writer, besides a minister, theologian, and then a political leader. Political leader was almost third, tertiary. Right. He was the one. So you have a great power. And right now, don't squander that power, young people. Mm-hmm. Right. This weekend, I don't know if you were in New Orleans this weekend. I don't know when this is going to come out.
That's too much trouble. But yeah.
But Jill Scott said it. Jill Scott said it in her set. When do we become bitches? Mm. When do we just always become bitches? I'm a bad bitch. I'm a smart bitch. I'm a sexy bitch. I'm that bitch. Mm-hmm. What happened to the sisterhood?
Right.
I always have to celebrate thuggery. Right. You know, I'm not a hip hop head. I'm a jazz man, but I remember the cats. You know, the three of us did jazz. I remember Guru. I met Guru, man. God rest his. He spoke truth, man. You know, Chuck D and all of those. Where are those cats? You know, right now it's all about thuggery, right? We celebrate as if that's the best of our community. So I'm gonna celebrate that, right? I'm gonna crush you. Right? I'm gonna carry around big bags of cash because that's how I roll. I always tell young bloods, I said, here's a pearl of wisdom for you. Rich men, they seldom see cash. Mm-hmm. The richest men and women in the world seldom see cash. They go, make this digital movement, and we just paid $5 billion or something, right?
Yes.
You know, you see documents and you see computers, you seldom see cash, right? We're now getting to that place where you can walk in a store, get your stuff and walk out and just look at your phone and go, okay, yeah, they got everything.
Yeah.
Right? And I pay. So I say that to say we have a great power and nothing challenging us today could ever compare to what our ancestors went through.
Absolutely. Nothing. Absolutely.
How dare we step back from the challenge? How dare we say it's tough? Mm-hmm. When right now we have so much power, more power than we've ever had. And so while it's challenging, we've been here before. And here's the smartest thing you'll ever realize. With every generation, you have to fight and win the battle for your rights. We always make the mistake of going, oh, that's taken care of, been there, done that.
Right.
Or, damn, it's still going through it. Yes, because it's a chronic disease. Mm-hmm. It's something that every generation should look at the past generations and what wonderful mm-hmm. blueprint of how to fight.
Right.
Now, I'm taking on my battle and I'm ready to fight now.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate you.